Hey, this is Tobias from Bona Fitness, and I'm with Josh from Frozen Ropes. And Josh, kind of tell me what you do at Frozen Ropes.
Here I'm the general manager and I'm a senior instructor.
And you specialize in positions, or how does it work?
My specialty is I'm a hitting coach and infield, middle infield, corners, stuff like that.
Cool. The relationship we're trying to create with Frozen Ropes is Frozen Ropes is one of the best in town at making athletes better by position. Bona Fitness, in my mind, are one of the best in town, the Houston, greater Houston area, at making athletes more proficient and efficient and understanding how to translate gym performance to field performance, which is hard to do, and it takes a certain amount of intellectual time spent with the athlete to get that figured out. So what Josh and I are hoping to create today from this video is his perspective and my perspective on how the two businesses are going to intertwine and what they're going to do to build better athletes. Is that all right? And so kind of take me through the progression of what happens when a young athlete comes through your program, what you do with them.
Initially what they do is when they come in, we want to kind of evaluate them, see where they're at in their career, get kind of a timeline of what they're looking for, and then take that step from there. If it's hitting, hitting eval. If they're looking for pitching eval, catching eval, and then take that next step.
Similar to what we do. We kind of do the same thing in perspective, but we look at it at a functional movement perspective. So there any supination, pronation, and your foundation, which are your feet. In the baseball case, what's happening in the transverse plane when athletes move, our hips balance. I mean, those things affect what happens on the field. Josh and I just had an interesting conversation about fatigue and being in shape. And so tell me kind of what you see when kids come if they're not in condition. How does that, what effect does that have on the field?
Typically what we see at the age that we typically work with is normally that 9 to 12-year-old. That's majority of our clientele. They really haven't learned how to physically be in game shape. They know how to practice shape, but they don't know how to be in game shape. And what we see is in baseball, we'll play 3 or 4 games in a weekend, and by the end of that first game, they feel like they played 4 games.
That's right.
And the technique, fundamentally, it completely breaks down. And what we try to do and trying to get to is let them understand that you have to have game fundamentals as long as game conditioning.
Exactly.
So that's our biggest breakdown, is not being game conditioned.
That makes sense, and that's kind of where we hope to step in. It's funny when we start working with athletes, and I like that age, 8 to 12, because somewhere along the way, about 13, 14, and 15, they kind of get it.
They start to understand
that when you have an athlete who's fatigued, that means performances automatically change. And I don't care if we're talking about an 8-year-old, if we're talking about a Houston Texan. I mean, that's what happens in speed and conditioning, functional movement, is you teach them how to do that. And then the other side of that is we call it high octane fuel, figuring out what they need for that 4-game stretch. We talk to parents, what are you doing for your baby between classes, or between games? We're going to Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, That's not how athletes eat. That's where we interface. I mean, that is our interface. Is that all right, little Johnny, little Janie, that we got a 4-game stretch. We're going to need X amount of calories over X time. This is how we're going to rehydrate. This is the things you need to do in between. And that's really one of the reasons I think the marriage between instruction and conditioning is an important marriage.
Right.
Because now we get it from 2 different perspectives. Is that we're going to let Frozen Ropes be Frozen Ropes, the best baseball instruction in town. We're going to let Bona Fitness be Bona Fitness, and kind of merge those things together. So we're excited, super excited about the marriage that's about to have to happen between the 2 companies. Parents start looking for some different aspects of camps that are coming through between now and school starts. And visit our Facebook at Bona Fitness Katy, and visit the Frozen Ropes Facebook at
FrozenRopesKaty.com.
FrozenRopesKaty.com. Good work, Josh. Thanks, bud.